record. Welcome to the next episode of Boss Books. I'm so excited for today because so many of us are going to be stretched and also supported by the topic, which is your launch hype squad. How to build it, how to manage it without going bonkers. When is it too soon? When is the right time? So this is your hype squad, and we're gonna go through kind of like a little presentation of my vision of how to make it easy breezy, really effective. Um, and then we're gonna have some Q&A, classic, right? So once we're finished, you guys jump in with any questions. But before we do that, I'd love to just get a sense of how you're feeling. How are you arriving today? Please put a word or a phrase in the chat. Are you tired and hungry? Are you excited? Are you, I don't know, what's your vibe? What are you bringing to today, knowing that all is welcome? Everything, all states of being are so welcome. Hmm. Chaotic mind struggling to focus, says Connie. Denny's excited to learn and share. Glad to be back. Melinda, yes, you were in Vietnam, Mama. That's far away. Lauren's ready to execute while battling overwhelm. Yeah, it's all perfect. It's all wonderful. Happy to be here, says Rachel. Rachel, we are happy to have you. Yes, on camera, off camera, whether you're eating or busy or whatever is going on, it is also welcome. All right, well, grab whatever snacks or blankies or things feel important to you, and we are going to jump in. I am not usually one to make like a presentation, but today it felt important. So I'm gonna go over to my Canva and I want to share like really specific ideas with you. And because this is one of the more kind of precise tools, let's go. I'm gonna share. Here we go. And then I'm gonna get myself in present mode. All right, let's go to the beginning. Isn't the beginning a good place to start? Classically. How do we go back? Boop, 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 boo! How to build your book hype squad. Can you guys see that all right? Okay. So what we're going to cover first, why you need one, where to find these people, and managing your squad without losing your mind. Then, of course, to charge or not to charge. Should it be a paid, paywall, free? And the timeline when to start, what to share with your squad, and then just some final thoughts. All right. So why you need one? As an indie, hybrid published or self-published author, word of mouth is the number one way that books are going to sell for you. And actually, I'll tell you a secret. This is true for traditional books as well. The number one ways that books sell is through word of mouth. And so, what we're doing here, the invitation is to bring people in to your journey, not just the finished product, but the journey of stepping into your voice, of stepping into your power, of stepping into your clarity, owning your story, creating this incredible artifact of the book. And then because they've been a part of it, people love to be a part of things, right? We all want to be invited. We all crave acceptance. We just want to be in the club, and y'all are cool people. And if you're starting a club, it's like people want to be in it. So you need people to become evangelical about your book and start this snowball effect. So when launch day comes, you're not worried at all about being a bestseller or how it's going to do because you know your squad has your back. And you can call them whatever you want, your crew. And the important thing is that you find them and we bring them into the fold. So that's the first question. Where do we find these people? Obviously, the first place instinctively to start is your closest friends and family. And I will say that I was just chatting about this with Mel, who's also in our circle here in our collective, that our friends and family can be the most disappointing when it comes to showing up for us in our book endeavors. And that's okay. I think that we don't need to put so much pressure on them. And instead, we look to clients, former clients, roommates, people who subscribe to our newsletters, people who share interests, people who, if we're a coach, they used to be in our programs, or just anyone who said, "Oh, you're writing a book? Let me know how I can support." Now is the time to call on them, be like, "Thank you, I will take you up on that." And so maybe it's someone that you do tennis with or someone that's on your pickleball team. The idea is that not just your closest confidants and friends, but everyone in your circle gets the invite. And that's just the inner circle. Then we have our social media followers and people that we're connected with on socials. Look at people who are really engaged and DM them personally. So the idea here is to make them feel invited and to do that, not just a form, because forms are great. You know, in our Instagram stories, for example, sometimes we can have a form and we can say, like, DM me if you'd like to join my book launch team. That's really good. And if you know that someone is engaged and you don't see them on your list, reach out with one sentence. Would you love to help me launch this book into the world? It would mean so much to me. Then, of course, we have our professional peers, people you've podcasted with, workshop hosts, and make it mutually beneficial. Like, what's the give and take? Can they feature you? Can you feature them? What is it? You know? And of course, something I talk about a lot in Born to Write inside my book is kind of eavesdropping on quote unquote park bench conversations online. So we're talking about YouTube comments, we're talking about Facebook groups and relevant places online where people are having chats and sharing opinions related to your book topic, whether it's sobriety or recovering from brainwashing or burnout. Whatever the topic is that you're writing about, hormone balance for Shayla, there are places online where people are definitely sharing opinions, and you get to go there, be like, "Hey, I'm actually writing a book about this. Would you like some early chapters and like to be part of helping me launch this in the world?" And you'll be surprised how many very passionate, complete strangers are going to become your most vocal supporters on this journey. I have found that people who care deeply about a topic are sometimes more supportive and like evangelical about your book than, say, your sister or blood brother. And that just is because they're willing to give it bandwidth and it's part of their identity. You know, we're talking about psychology 101 here. People have a vested interest in the topic and their opinion, and if they don't, then it's like, "Oh yeah, my sister launched a book. I should like show some love." My brother has never left me an Amazon review, and that's okay. I can bug him till the cows come home, and he's gonna prioritize taking his kids to tennis, and I don't fault him for that. Let's have realistic and loving expectations once we do find these people. So the final thing I'll say about that is who's going to follow through. There is going to be a lot of people, there are going to be a lot of people who say, like, "I'm all in," and then they don't show up. So it's almost like, I don't want to speak for your peeps, but maybe a 25 to 50% follow through rate of actually doing things like launch day, leaving an Amazon review when the book is live, or sharing posts about your book. The more that we do the strategies in this presentation, the more likely that they're going to show up for you and follow through. So stay with me. This is going to be good. So here is my suggestion of how to manage all these people, whether it's 10 or 200 people. I would love for you to aim for like actually 200. There's something about over 100 that really gets you momentum, and over 100 people who show up and like leave a review will skyrocket you to bestseller status. So anywhere between 100 and 200 people, it may sound like a lot, but if you start now, you're going to be surprised at how it bubbles. They're just like bubbles and they just mix and they multiply and this person tells another person. So you can have a lot of them. We need to manage them. Choose one platform, whether it's Facebook, a WhatsApp group chat, Slack, Telegram, whatever feels aligned and natural to you, where you and your people already are, go there. If you have a school community, that's cool too. That's a bit heavier, but it's very dynamic. And the upshot to that is you could segue it into a course related to your book very easily, right? If you don't even want anything extra, you don't want to do it so much via social media, just create an email list with a segmented tag Launch Squad. And then it's important to set expectations. So when people are welcomed, say, hey, you're going to hear from me every week. And there's going to be a live free coaching call or a live chat, a live reading every week. So tell them about frequency. And then clear instructions, sample captions if they're going to be, sharing about your book, hashtags, set them up for success. And we'll talk more about that in a little bit. And then provide deadlines for key dates in advance. So when I was launching my poetry collection this winter, I said, hey, here's when the pre-order goes live. Please, please, please pre-order your copy of the ebook before January 15th. We're going to go live on launch day. This is when I need you to leave an Amazon review. And in between those dates, I'm going to be providing you with captions and things to share. So I kind of fell off the bandwagon. I lost steam. And it's because I tried to do too much. So simple, simple, simple. If you are worried about losing momentum, just don't overpromise and underdeliver. Just say, we're going to do it once a month. And then if you happen to share things twice a month, that's good. But we'll talk about timing in a little bit. The other thing that's important is recognition. Shout outs on social media, special thank yous, making them feel cherished and special in a really genuine way. And of course, giving them exclusive sneak peeks that are not just on the rest of social media, not just in your general email list, and really maybe even giving them a shout out in your book at the back of acknowledgments. It doesn't cost you anything to list every single person's name who was in your hype squad, right? I've seen people do that with crowdsourcing platforms. Be like, hey, on our website, we're going to thank you. Even if you give $5 to this crowdsourcing campaign, people love to see their name places. It's almost like it's free for you, but it could be another thing that you tell them they're going to receive by joining your squad. To charge or not to charge. So there's kind of two approaches. You could just say, come on in. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to receive all these things, early chapters. You're going to receive like live calls with me, discussions, Q&A, whatever it may be, or not, depending what feels good. And the other thing is maybe you want to make this a charged experience because they're getting access to you and your energy. It could be $33, could be $20. And this is about how much you would like to give to the experience, how much behind the scenes that you're going to bring them in on, and what value you are proposing. Okay, if they already pay to work with you, this is a no-brainer. And if you already charge people to work with you in a mentoring capacity in any way, this is also a no-brainer to have a little bit of a paywall. And like we've talked about in past master classes, you can definitely use that towards your book editing costs, proofreading, interior design, and cover design. Because those are kind of the things you can DIY, and I have successfully in the past just with Canva and tools. But if you're going to go to the next level and you're going to charge, these fees can go towards finishing your book. Okay. Next up. Part 6, what to share? What are we going to be telling these people? Emily, give me ideas. So we have behind the scenes emails. Here's me designing my cover. Which one should I choose? Telling them about your process, sharing the emotions, sharing the insecurities and how you got over them. That in and of itself is going to inspire people. Let's take a moment and breathe and remember that you're publishing a book. Most people talk about it and never do it. You're doing it. So you've got a special sauce. You're doing something rare and beautiful. Of the people that talk about publishing a book, only 2 million do every year. So say there's like 3 billion people on the planet talking about publishing their book because they say half the world claims that they're going to write a book. This is terrible math. Do excuse me. But the figure of 2 million who self-publish on Amazon every year is real. That is a tiny fraction. That is a feather in an entire feather bed. And you're part of that. So why I'm bringing this up is because please don't underestimate the importance of your journey doing something so big. There's so many steps. You're doing this major project. And so bringing people behind the scenes is valuable to them so they can see how to do it too, how to overcome the inner gremlins, the insecurity, the no one's going to read this, or why are they going to care? Yeah. The other thing that people love to see is a photo shoot behind the scenes. They're usually the best performing. People like to see the behind the scenes of the photo shoot more than the finished photos. I worked with a couple of musicians and they're like, yeah, my posts about the messy BTS is always a lot more liked than the photos themselves. So show your struggles, show your photo shoots, whether it's the cover shoot or whatever it may be. Maybe you're doing a little author website. Okay, you can also bring in personal reflections, why this book matters to read, why I had to write it, exclusive excerpts we've talked about, and you want to share with them. This is vital. Sample social posts, okay, that they can copy and paste. This brings us to our assets folder. You want to have a Google Drive or a Dropbox that you share with them when they enter, and you share this link very often in your email and in your space. And it's going to have book cover graphics, your headshots, pre-cooked IG stories, reels, and templates for them to send to their newsletters. Now imagine that you have 5 people and they're all like, yeah, I would love to share your story, but I just have a tiny email list of 100 people. And they're like, no, 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 that's huge. So then they'd send it to 100 people, 80% open it. You have 80 more people times 5. Okay, so you have 400 more people that know about your book and it's free. All because you formed a launch squad and had a little asset folder with a little Google Doc in it and 5 people with tiny email lists. You see how this snowballs fast? You see what I said at the beginning about how this gets evangelical. And then maybe those people who get the newsletter, they join your launch squad. And then the number of 200, it feels super easy because 5 people with 500 people total on their email list shared it. So this is the groundswell. Just everybody is valuable, everybody matters. And if they are aligned and care about your message, they're going to be the ones that get you rolling, selling books, selling so much more. Content ideas for them to share. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited for this book to come out. Or this book made me feel when I read this chapter. Or if you're struggling with this, you need this book. Or if you've ever been to a super religious school and then you broke free and had a spiritual awakening, like Melinda's story, like, boom, you need this book. Just think about how many people have gone through the experience. Find them and invite them in. Invite them to film short reels or testimonials. And these you can put in so many places. Like I could go on and on about how these assets go on your website, go on Amazon, and just it's a beautiful ecosystem that you're building here. Okay, so that's what to share with your squad. And of course, there's way more that you can share, especially gifts. You could get them like an Amazon subscription to something that you love, like a hot cocoa or some kind of mushroom coffee blend as a thank you, right? So that is the end of the presentation. And final words is that this is a step by step nurturing experience, and it's never too early to start, right? Never, never, never. For timeline, let's talk about timeline for a second. Definitely within 6 months of your book going live, you want to start this group 6 months out. And so if you're at draft one or even finishing draft one, that's now. Starting draft one, that's now. If you're halfway through your draft one, this is now. Basically, start. Okay, 3 months out, what I really want you to have is people who are engaged and know about your timeline, people who are excited to see your book cover, participate in the book cover. 3 months out, we want some things for them to start sharing chapter excerpts. So remember the quotes where people were like, oh my gosh, you have to read this, because what you can link to is your pre-sale on Amazon. So you're not just getting people into your pre-launch crew, you're getting your pre-launch crew and your general peeps on social media to pre-order the ebook. So these two things happen in tandem. Pre-ordering the ebook is really one of the main functions of your launch crew, as far as in my philosophy. Besides being evangelical and hyping about it, you want to drive them towards your Amazon page where you have set up a pre-order. And that doesn't mean you have to have the book done by any means. It's a placeholder where Amazon is collecting purchases for you. And then on launch day, everybody gets the ebook and you get all the royalty checks. Boom. And then you get bestseller status. Boom. Because you did the work of driving people towards your ebook pre-sales. And that's when they can also buy a paperback and join and actually get a hard copy. Mel Dolan is joining. So I'll make this presentation available to you for sure. I'll add some timeline information in there. There is no right or wrong. And the most important thing is that you do it in a way that feels exciting for you. Welcome, Mel. We're talking about building our launch squads. Danny says, I started my WhatsApp chat last week. I have 10 people and just updated the group, getting ready to launch a paid tribe after this week. Congrats, Danny. Your cookbook for Star Seeds is really landing from the stars and the clouds and coming. And I'm so glad you have your 10 first people in your hype squad. Connie, I know your hype squad is also coming into form beautifully. Who else has started or begun to have the seeds of what this looks like? Feel free to go on the mic. Lauren's kind of, yeah.
I've been talking about my book, especially in my sober networking group for since I started with you in August. And so they're always asking, and now it's like, hey, it's in editing, So I'm thinking like end of August. Um, so they keep asking, like, how can we pre-sale or pre-buy or whatever? And so now it's exciting for me to think like, okay, I actually can get that set up on Amazon and have a link to drive them to. Um, but they're not in like a group that I've formed, and I know that we've talked both strategies of like putting them in a group, getting paid immediately to funnel that money towards book costs, um, and like nurturing them with all the things that you just said. Um, so that's kind of where I'm like in the so where people are actively wanting to get their hands on it, but I also haven't decided like, am I going to do any sort of money collection ahead of time? How much do I actually want to nurture? But something that you did say that I wrote down was when someone's like, I only have 100-person email list. It was like, oh my God, it's just another avenue of borrowing from someone else's audience, right? Like my Reiki master is a main character in my book. I have no doubt she'd want to blast it to her email list. My one of my best friends and I are co-creating a sober group together. I'm sober, she's not. So we're going to have two perspectives in this group. She can send it to her email list, and so I was just like, I didn't think of that. And so I appreciate you dropping that today.
Yes. And the beautiful thing, whether it is paid or not, is having them all in one space. Literally an email list with a special tag just for book launch or a social group, because that way you can reach everyone at once and save your energy and just be efficient and like an arrow towards launch rather than like a spider web where it feels a little bit like, oh, I need to go to talk to these people over here and then my social media people and then I have some people on my email list. Like honestly, you're going to be way more juiced up for launch day and to sustain podcasts and things after. Because imagine after launch happens and then you're doing a podcast series and you want people to listen in and you're talking about the book and you want them to review the podcast. And so I really encourage you to invite them into one single place so you can talk to them. And yes, absolutely, Lauren, start already getting people driven towards your Amazon KDP ebook presale. You have your cover design, you have a draft book description that we can tweak a little bit. I can send that over a little bit earlier than your whole book. But like, honestly, do that by end of week. Let's make that happen. Yeah. How does that feel as like a nice goal for end of week?
Yeah, I started actually setting up KDP before 2 calls ago, and I got stuck on the tax page. So I have like text messages to my accountant right now. But I guess where my brain gets a little bit, yes, I love the end of the week goal, by the way. I'm like totally in execution mode this week. But so it's almost like people can have two choices. They can go straight to the Amazon page and like they just hang out there, or they can also join a group and get nurtured and get, because maybe some people aren't going to want to be in a group, but they want to pre-sell or pre-buy the book. So
Yeah.
it's both options should be available, maybe.
Absolutely. And I think that you're going to be surprised how many people just do want to support you. Let's assume people want to support you, not just buy the book, and give some energy and shout outs as well. Yes. And as you're setting up your KDP, Danny asked the question of, okay, but what should I price my
Yeah.
book at? And that is a whole masterclass in and of itself, a whole discussion. And it has to do with a lot of factors. What is the genre? What is the page count? People pay more for longer things. And so the psychology of like very, very primal, like, what am I getting? How heavy is it? Therefore, that's how much I'm gonna pay. So if you have a big heavy book, people are like, I'll pay $40. If it's a thin little book, they'll be like, that's $9.99. Obviously, ebook is less than paperback, and paperback is less than a hardcover. That's the way it is. There's also the psychology of if it's too cheap, is it worth anything? And we need to be careful not to undercut ourselves. And you don't want it to be the regular price right out of the gate. But here's the thing. You can put it regular price right out of the gate and then give people a window where the pre-sale is 99 cents. KDP allows you to do periodic sales where you either give your book away for free or it's 99 cents. So that's a really good opportunity to drive people towards your Amazon page with the intent getting numbers and volume rather than money, because you need that volume to get the bestseller status in the categories. So all that to say, Danny, is kind of an individual choice, and it's half of an art form and like a spiritual downloading of what your book wants to be. And it's also strategic. So depends on the size of the cookbook. Does it have color illustrations inside, black and white? So I can't answer you with a concrete number, but it's something we can talk about in the school space. Does that feel okay? Maybe come up with some research it a little bit of what other people that have published cookbooks and like beautiful artsy creations like you are doing in this space so we can have some comparisons. Yeah? Okay. Awesome. We have another question from Connie. Her mind is spinning. How often are we interacting with the group? Right now, mine is free, so I don't feel pressure to contact them super often, but the paid element adds some pressure. Okay, so as we said in the presentation, you get to set the pace. What is sustainable for you, Connie? What feels good? And you could tell them, hey, I'm going to be tuning in here once a month, but then during launch month, we're going to be like sending messages every day. You really get to set the cadence. And as the timing gets closer to launch, you're going to want to be connecting with them more and more and more. Why? Because you're pouring more of your energy into it. They're going to be feeling more of you, thinking about your book more often. And for every several times that they think about you in your book, they might follow through and like allocate time. So don't worry about spamming them. They've showed up for this. And it's time just to be like, this is what they've asked for, is to be part of this. So every day I'm going to send them a quote that inspired me, and I'm going to send them whatever it is. It's energy. It's an energetic exchange above all. Obviously, there's like book excerpts and you talking about your journey, and that's all beautiful too. So if you're doing a paid element, posting minimum of once a week inside the group feels important. And by posting, I mean sharing memes and an update of your progress and what's next and how they can help. So those are the three things: progress, what's next in terms of like the next thing they can do, and how they can help. So that would be like, hey, here's a reminder of the link to my Google Drive. Like, post a quote from my book this week if you can. How simple is that? Someone opens it, they download the image, they post it in their stories, and they tag you and say, check out this incredible book. Yeah, you can give them the opportunity to say like, hey, this week I'm really looking for newsletter shout outs. Is anyone like, put up your hand or leave a heart and I'll PM you if you're gonna do a newsletter. So all that to say, Connie, once a week feels like, if it's gonna be paid, would be the minimum, but let it be natural and joyful, and then it won't feel, it's hype from your heart. And then your question for Amazon pre-sales, can I go live with that now? Yes. Yes, you need the cover, and that is okay. You need the description, and that's pretty much it. If it's a draft cover, that's fine. You can change it up until 3 days before. So the manuscript and the cover and the description are going to be set in stone 3 days before the launch date. You have a year up until that time to change everything, right? So like 360 basically days you can do pre-orders, and that's a long time. Like, Melinda, you could already be putting a book description and start getting people to buy your book now as you're writing the first draft. Same for you, Rachel. Same for you, Mel. Danny, for sure. Lauren as well. Anyone watching this, if you want to start driving people in waves of marketing, like you're in your certain part of your cycle where you're really social and you're feeling, or if you're in menopause, that's fine too. We all still have energy in waves. But the idea is that it's not too early to get your Hype Squad and the sister to that, which is your pre-order page. And remember that the pre-order page is just your ebook. It's not the hard copy, and it's not a paperback copy. So people will have to buy those, which is great because then you get the money and the royalties, which goes to cover your book costs.
Okay, I definitely need some clarifying. It's like I need a whiteboard behind you, Emily. When you say ebook, is that Kindle?
Yes.
Okay, because it's called Kindle on Amazon, right? As the list price. And so pre-sale is someone is buying a Kindle pre-sale, but they're not buying a hard copy or a paperback. And so they would have to go buy it a second time.
Yes.
And you cannot pre-sale paperbacks.
You're on it. You've got all the answers.
Okay, I'm just trying to connect the dots in my brain. Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
I don't know. I personally would not pre-sale a or pre-buy an ebook. So do people do it?
Oh, yeah.
Hmm.
In the millions. And that's what drives people to become these mammoth bestsellers on Amazon and reach the top of the top of the top, is because they have massive marketing teams and PR that drive people to these pages, and they want the ebooks, and because they want to, people are so hyped. One of the main motivators for this digital copy is you can read it on the same day it releases and you don't have to wait for it to ship to you. So for people that are like really excited, they don't even want to wait 2 days for the thing to ship and have it in their hand.
Mhm.
Yeah, so everybody is different. Some people will pre-order just to be on your hype team and show you that love. And we just get to create space for that too.
So the second question then would be if there's a paid pre-launch squad and part of your deal is you're giving them the ebook, right? Because they're paying like 20 bucks or whatever to opt in, then they would have to go to the page to buy the soft copy, or excuse me, the paperback if they want it. And is the paperback the one that you would throw in the like 24-hour 99-cent window so the people that have already paid 20 bucks can now get it for 99 cents? Or is that the ebook?
Yeah, I know there's a lot, but you're doing a great job of sorting through and asking the right questions. So when it comes to who gets what, where, when, it's a lot. People who are paying, say, let's do a scenario one. Someone pays $20 to come into your pre-launch squad. You don't necessarily need to give them an advanced copy of your book. You can give them chapter excerpts, free training, live access to you, inspirational stories, and behind the scenes. Ask them to pay that 99 cents on Amazon to get the digital advanced copy. So ask them to pre-order. That's part of their service to you as the Hype Squad VIP. And then be like, hey guys, the book is live, launch day. Please go buy the paperback and leave me a review because you've had the advanced copy, right? So those are the three kind of things that you want. Number one, get them to pre-order 99 cents or $5.99 or whatever advance price you put. Get them to pre-order it and get them to commit to leaving an Amazon review. That is so, so, so important. So I can't underscore that enough as well. It's a lot, I know, but you guys, we can always come back and revisit. People will want the hard copy. They're going to order it. It's fine. We're not asking too much.
Yeah. So the final question is, are ebook sales and paperback sales lumped in the same bucket for bestseller status
Yeah.
quotas? Okay.
Yes. Yes. It all works on a rolling 24-hour basis. So all of your sales across all categories in 24 hours, you just have to be the top seller in your subcategory to be a bestseller. Someone else might have just sold 10 books in the last 24 hours, and then you sell 300. So you're going to be on top for a long time. And then just keep going. Every podcast appearance, you're going to be on the bestseller list again. And Amazon then picks you up. The algorithm identifies that you're a bestseller and it chooses new categories for you to be on top of, giving more referrals. So, in the shopping cart, it's like readers who read this book that you're buying also read this. You're going to get showing up in more of those. And that's more than just like it feels really good to see your name in print next to like bestseller. It's a really fun moment that I know each of you is going to experience. No problem. And when more and more people that you don't know start buying your book, it's so exciting. That's because you're playing the algorithm. And I'll just put a little pin in a thought here. This week marks the 1-year anniversary of me publishing Born to Write. And so, as part of my celebration of becoming a best-selling author in multiple countries, that's right, international bestseller, US, UK, Mexico, almost made Australia, but not enough people bought it. I was like this close. I was number 2 position. That's okay. So I'm doing Amazon ads for the first time, pumping up, throwing some money, having a professional do it, and seeing if it's worth the investment. Am I going to make more in book royalties than I did paying someone to manage and create the ads for me and the ad spend itself? So I'm going to report back on this little experiment and let you know. But the spirit of it is that these books are lifelong sources of revenue, inspiration, support, impact, legacy. Like, really, please imagine the runway as long and luscious like a red carpet. That's not just a movie premiere. This goes on for years. Okay? This is a really fun thing that's going to keep nurturing you, your bank account, and your vision of who you are. And then some people are going to find your book and you're like, whoa, you found my book and now I'm coming on your television show. Like, what? You want me? Okay. So, yes, holding that vision. Um, Want to check that I made sure to answer all the questions in the chat. What are the things I need? Is it okay to change the cover and the title if that happens while it's on pre-sale? So, Connie, I need to check whether you can change the title while it's on pre-sale. I do have a sense that the title is locked in. Danny, you were just doing that, so maybe you can see, but I do believe the title and the pre-title, subtitle, um, get locked in. So let's make sure you're super comfortable with yours before we lock you into Amazon for that. You can change everything else though. Cover, you can change, description, you can change. Before I did my Amazon ads, I changed my book description and optimized it. So, yeah. Lauren asks, do you need to know your subcategories to launch your KDB pre-sale? Yes, I do believe so. Yes. Um, if you would like to research non-competitive subcategories, KD Spy is my favorite spy technology where you can look and see how many books you need to sell to be the top in each subcategory. There are secret categories like relaxation, under yoga, under mental health, under health. I've been up to 3, 4 a.m. in the morning many times down this rabbit hole of subcategories and competition. And actually, inside of Boss Books, when you reach a certain level, you unlock the like when you participate a lot, you reach a level where you unlock my PDF where I just give you all my knowledge. So some of you might be close to that. It's been almost a year. I think Danny says, I think I saw you can edit your title until your book release. Oh, that's exciting. That would be more flexibility and less pressure. But let's put a pin in that question and come back to it. Any questions coming to the forefront about this topic? Any other topic?
I think you hinted on this already from a question, but how do we decide how to price the book? It's based on, you said research, other books in our categories. Um, so I have a running list of what current books in my field are selling for, but I
Amazing.
don't know what they pre-sold for.
So it should be less, but not dramatically, so that people think your book is not of value. So, for example, anything under $10 for paperback, I wouldn't really go there. You want your paperback to be 12, 17, 21, like in that,
Mhm.
because the printing costs are so high, $5 to $6 for printing costs plus $3 to $4 for Amazon royalty. So if they're taking $7, you're charging 10, 11, 12. You're not making enough for this to be a viable business, right? The 60-40 split of royalty share. So think about your paperback being around $17 as a
Mhm.
nice entry point. It's not even $20 if it's just a nonfiction transformational work or a memoir. But know that it's flexible. Some people are willing to pay $24 if it's longer, shorter. So also look at the length, right?
Mhm.
And add in a few dollars for the length. For the pre-sale digital copy, I've seen everything from like $3.99 to $5.99, and that's kind of where traditional like 50,000 to 100,000 word books can fit. And like I
Mm-hmm.
said, you can do those sales where it's 99 cents and you just drive people to get the volume and numbers of people not looking for making the money. So there's a time for everything. Once your book goes live, once your paperback is out there, and maybe your hardcover copy too, that's when you're going to be getting everybody in podcasts, newsletters, like following up with them and saying, hey, that book that I was talking about last fall, it's live, come and get it. So the BAA, borrow an audience strategy, really goes into full throttle mode once you're launched, right? The BAA strategy inside of the Boss Books, what did I call it? Born to Write book. So that's when you do your virtual tour, your in-person tour. If you're Connie, you're renting a house in Rio and you're doing a launch party and you want everyone there, not just to have a good time, but to focus on selling the physical copies. And that's where your money really comes in. Forever and ever. Um, ISBN question. Good one, Danny. So the short answer is, if you work with Boss Books and work with me, I invite you to publish under me and my ISBNs. What does that look like? There's no obligation to do this. It's an invitation to be a professionally published author rather than a self-published author. It's hybrid because unless you bring me on as a full publisher and I do all of the work of the upload, of the research of the categories, like everything, then it's a simple thing of me saying, okay, here is the Boss Books logo. Here is the ISBN. Here is our copyright disclaimer. And then you get all the money, all the royalties. You can, have full free range, but it gives you that level of credibility. In order to do that, I just need to review the final copy of your manuscript. If I'm not the one editing it, then I just need to see it, do a quality check, and then you get to be a professionally published author. And so we're registered with Library Archives Canada. It's the equivalent of the US, like Congress and blah, 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 blah. There's no drawback to being with a Canadian ISBN. You have just as much access to Barnes and Nobles and everything. We do that through Ingram Sparks. So yeah, just come to me when you're ready for an ISBN. That's the short answer. Otherwise, you're spending $100 to $200. Actually, I think sometimes you have to buy three for $300. But I would much rather be able to promote you on our website, be able to promote you in our podcast, on our social media. Amazon is free but limited. Yes. So when you publish with an Amazon ISBN that's automatically generated, you can't do things like also sell at a bookstore locally. You can't go to Ingram Sparks and get a book deal with like to be purchased by Barnes and Nobles or Chapters in Canada. So if you want to sell through other avenues, you want an independent big girl ISBN. So yes. Does everyone know what an ISBN is? Is that it's the book number. It's like your unique international registration code. So anyone in the world can identify you. By the way, your ebook has a separate ISBN from your hardcover, from your paperback. They're each unique books, so you will need multiple ones. That's why usually you spend $300 on ISBNs per one book launch. Yeah, this is the technical nitty-gritty, but I love it all. I love it so much. Yeah, so you would get our logo. And then the other place that when you're not self-published, you get a logo here too. And that's really nice. So on the book spine, our logo will go there, and then it goes there, and it goes there, like on the copyright page. So there's three different places the Boss Books logo will appear on your work. Yeah. You could potentially do a Kindle ISBN via Amazon and hard soft cover with Boss, or I can just give you multiple ISBNs. No, not a big deal. Happy to shell them out and then promote you to make you, because I'm a new hybrid publisher and I've been nurturing you. And so it's like mutually supportive, because I would love to have more books under our umbrella to show that the system works, that working with the emotional and the mental bodies just as much as the writing craft is really what makes you finish a book. That's my philosophy, as you know. See. Well, we still have 10 minutes. Mm-hmm.
I have a question, Em.
Tell me.
I think we touched on this like months ago, but I am still confused if I need to use Amazon like Mexico for the people that are here that want to support me. Of course, I'm going to have probably more in the US, but I'm going to have quite a bit here in Mexico. And I don't really know how that works. Like, is it listing it in like two different KDP worlds? Like, I haven't explored it enough to like know it tangibly.
Mm.
Um, and because there's a really annoying thing that prevents me from buying books here in Mexico is if it has to be imported, it's like an extra $15. So I'm like, oh, then I'm just not going to get the hard like the paperback because that's annoying to have to spend like an extra $20 import fee. So
Yeah.
I'm wondering, is there a way to prevent that?
If you make your primary marketplace Mexico, then there will be no import fee because the book will be printed on demand in Mexico physically. And so what that means is that it doesn't have to cross the border. When you choose your primary marketplace on Amazon, it tells them, okay, am I printing in Texas or Virginia? Or Washington. It basically, there are a couple places around the states where American books are printed and then they're distributed. So someone clicks your book and then it's printed, that copy is printed just for them, and then it gets shipped. So what I would invite you to do, Mel, is to do a little game of guesstimating how many people in terms of not just your pre-launch crew, but like your dream clients. Are they going to be in the States or in Mexico? So you're only going to have each book in a primary marketplace one. And what that means is that there's no like uploading it on Amazon Mexico and then uploading it on Amazon USA. No, that's not it. You choose one primary marketplace and you go with it. So what you could always do is, have copies that you bring next time you go to the States, have a bunch made, and then just ship it down in your suitcase, bring it with you, and make it available to your people. Because if there's less than 50, or if there's like 25 people, you're like, these are my hardcore fans. I want them to have hard copies. I don't want them to pay it. Create a distribution point or talk to your local bookshops. The thing you can do though, Mel, is to release an edition in Spanish in a year or so. Just use Deep L translating, Deep L. Okay, get someone to proofread it in Spanish and put that copy on Amazon Mexico as a primary Mexico, because that's a new book. It'll be linked, but it's different. So yeah, just from a business strategy, I would use the USA as a primary marketplace and then release a Spanish edition Mexico. How does that
Yeah,
feel?
cool. That makes yeah, that definitely I didn't know you could only have one. So that's what I wanted to clarify. So that's helpful. I like that idea. And then and what I will probably do is like bring them back in a suitcase
Yes.
for people here. Um, but what did you say about like link up with a bookstore? Like I don't know. You said something
Mm,
like
yes.
distribution point in a bookstore.
Yeah. So imagine you have three really cute bookshops in Mexico City that you frequent and they know you and you're often working in there. What I've seen with some of my indie authors is that they go in with an early copy of their book and they're like, hey, I want to leave this for the owner. And I would love for you guys to sell this book and we can do a 1 month promotion in your window. I'm local, but this is an international best-selling book. And they might really be into that, to having a stock of your books. There's two ways for them to get that stock. One, you provide it to them physically. Two, you're not just uploading your book to Amazon, you're also uploading to Ingram Sparks. And Ingram Sparks is where small businesses and big book distributors can pull your book, buy it for their store, like outright purchase copies and have it in stock. You guys are really testing me today.
Okay,
I like.
that's no, that's exactly answers how I was like, how do I get into these bookstores? Because I that's a dream for me.
Yes, that's hitting the streets. And I will just say, Melinda, thank you for sharing, as you did in the chat, that you're starting to stretch your muscle about being vocal about your process and admitting to the world, like, hey, I'm writing a book and my story is worth reading. And I really just pray and hope and feel that being surrounded by people doing it who were also once in doubt too, that this is just washing you in energy that cleanses those doubts away and you just get layers of courage coming in. And as you're writing your first draft, that you share about the process, because what you just said here is an Instagram post. What you just saying, like, I'm freaked out to tell you, but I'm writing a book, that is gold that gets people involved. And the buy-in from day one is everything. It's selling without selling. It's story selling. Yes. Congrats. Yeah, we're glad to have you here. Question, cookbook page on website, how to share testimonials. So if I understand, you're building a website and you're asking how to share testimonials. You want to either screenshot the Amazon testimonials and upload them as photos to your website, or do the opposite. Say you have testimonials from a Facebook group, you can add a composite of them as what we call A+ content on Amazon. As a whole other kettle of fish. But essentially, if you've ever gone to buy something on Amazon, maybe it's like workout gear, and then it shows you a bunch of pictures like 100% cotton, and it's pictures of cotton and infographics and such. That is called the A+ content. And that A+ content is something you can do for your book, and that can include testimonials. Okay. Final question. Who is gonna be?
I don't have a question, but I'd love to just voice something.
Yes.
That's okay. So, like, ah, it's the overwhelm that I am with all of the things besides writing the book. I'm like, I have a lot of things in my life right now. Like, just, yeah. And so, and I'm going to give you my book for editing in like 5 weeks ish. So I want to, yeah, just like give myself permission that getting the book in its best shape for the next 5 weeks is enough. And then during the time that you have it, there's going to be a window of like, all right, hell yeah, I still get to connect with the book every day, just in different ways. And that's getting the hype squad, getting everything set up on PDP. And that feels just like the biggest truth in my system right now of like what I can do.
Mm.
So it felt important for me to voice that. And then of course, if you have anything to say on that.
Lauren, how did you feel in the lead up to handing over your book? Maybe you're the one in the exact seat of Mel. Like, what would you tell?
And in the lead up, I definitely had the perfectionism gremlin coming really strong. So Mel, I like what you said, like just get it to a place where we're turning it over to an expert for a reason, because it's like we've hit our threshold of our skill set, so to speak, and now it's someone else's turn to put their level of genius onto it. So for me, it was not polishing the cannonball, turning it over, and then I felt profound relief, like, oh my gosh, the content writing is complete, and then I'll go through and obviously make the edits that Emily suggests. It was amazing to close all 100 tabs I had open of my book writing, and goes now into this new thought pattern of, like you said, the pre-launch and all of that. So get it to a point where you just realize like you've done your part, and now, like, again, we're specifically investing in someone else to then do their part. You know what I mean? So it felt amazing, honestly. Like
Mm.
I was high on life and utterly exhausted. Like it was like I had to take a full day, honestly. So
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
it is such a journey, Mel, and there is always the least you can do, right? Like instead of doing the most, this is like, how can I be very successful in completing my tasks while doing the least? It's like the gelato edition. How can you be eating delicious things and like really enjoying it and then infusing your book with that energy? Because remember, the way that we do the thing gets infused into the thing, and people feel that. It's like baking it into that next layer. So, yes, it is enough. I affirm you. Finishing a manuscript in order to hand it over to an editor is a lot. And so just saying on social, like, guys, I'm not even going to be here on that much because guess what I'm doing? Ah, do a hard post of that, like the freak out
Oh, I
is
like
so
that.
viable. Sharing this, like, honestly, wherever you're at is the content,
Mhm.
is the journey, is the
Cool.
invitation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, I can't nurture this hype squad when I'm like, my book is requiring right now, like where it's at, because it's not like it's still quite a bit messy. Like I'm organizing things to like really hit on the pillars. And then what we talked about last week, like really adding the thing to like make it land, like adding the pieces that make it land. Like it just needs my intimacy, and I I like that about sharing even with my Instagram community, because I'm also like, I don't have space to be sharing on Instagram right now.
Yes. That
Like,
announcement is the share, and then take your space, connect so deeply with your book, and then come back to them and know that that's when you're gonna, have the selection. So knowing which chapters to share as your excerpt is a whole thing to choose. And you can be in the back of your mind thinking, like, oh, this will be really good to share. This will be really relevant. This anecdote. So I know that you're also going to be doing the thinking and heart connecting work as you're editing. So you're doing amazing. It's enough.
thank you. That's helpful.
And Connie is in the middle of one step further, incorporating all the edits that she received from me, which was so much. I was like, take breaths, take all the time you need and all the space, because once you get that information back and then you're polishing the diamond, there's a lot of space that you need as well. So this is a really valuable time, Mel, and that you're heading into after you hand over the book, and Lauren, that you're in right now. And I would even encourage you to schedule things like emails. So know that when you get the information back and you're going to be editing your book and incorporating all the suggestions and things, polishing it, you may not be in the mood to send emails, but if you have one every other week, I mean, you can do 3 to 4 emails scheduled and they can be short. It can be an inspiring quote, book excerpt, and a reminder of key dates. Boom, that's an email. So simple, 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 streamlined. And if it's overwhelming, just share from your heart wherever you're at, and that's enough. And it's effective. That's the best thing. Like if you're overwhelmed, go on an Instagram live and be like, guys, I'm freaking out. Like, I don't know if I can do this. And then you're inviting people to, it doesn't make you less professional. It doesn't make your book less like worthy of New York Times bestseller status. You're doing something really difficult and hard and challenging from the inside out. So yeah, letting people into the mess has been my most effective selling strategy. And it's not just because vulnerability sells, it's because people want to know what it's like doing something this big, because they probably won't. Most people won't. So, yeah, it's like becoming an Olympic skier. People want to know what your training is like and all that stuff. All right. Ah, another beautiful sesh with you guys. Thank you for coming today.
Emily, I have a really curious question with your process. When you receive a book, do you read it top to bottom before you edit, just to read it, and then go through line by line and edit?
Yes and no. It depends if it's a fresh book or if I've been in the weeds with it. So, for example, when my mother gave me her manuscript to read, I had already been playing with so many of the chapters that I felt like I knew it and I knew the themes and I had worked on her with the arc. So then I just went right in. But most of the time, I read through the whole thing because I need to get a sense of pacing. I need to get a sense of where there's overwritten, underwritten, balance. And that's like the first part of the editorial letter I write from this high level perspective. And then I go in line by line. So that's why it also takes 5 weeks.
Yeah, I thought so. And I love that because it's like then you can see where the nuances are connected and the through line and all of that. I was wondering if that's what you did, but very cool. Okay, I know
Yeah.
we took more of your time today, but thank you so much.
So happy to give it to you. And exciting announcement that this coming Monday, we're going to be doing chapter makeovers. So it's your invitation to get a chapter edited. And it can be one that we've already looked at. It can be something totally fresh, whatever feels important. And because, for example, Lauren, I'm working on your book right now, you could give emails, outreach, PR emails to edit. Yes, book description, exactly. So basically, this is like getting free professional copywriting that's usually $300 an hour for free on your book or your marketing material. So submission is, as always, through email, emily.d.bauman@gmail.com, or send a link DM in the school app. Keep it under 2,000 words so that I have time to do everybody's. Yeah, try and get it in before Sunday. I do a lot of the reading over the weekend and editing. But yeah, I'm excited to read you and help get that one next step forward. I love you each and your book babies. It's like maternity circle. What's it gonna be like to have a guy with us, a Scottish brogue who's like, "Hello, lasses." We'll see if Colin shows up. All is well. Okay, bye for now. Ciao.
Thank you.